that's the story. Right, so I do believe we are going to be on YouTube in a moment. And yes, Michelle got rather upset earlier on because she was and you know we had a Wi-Fi box, right?
Mm.
And it's been pretty rubbish. So the connection that I'm using here is Vodafone. It's with EE, this Wi-Fi box. So she's been trying to sort this out for the past 3 months. And they said, oh, to get out the contract, this tiny little Wi-Fi box with no screen on it, it's a little bit of plastic. They said you've got to be in the contract until 2028 and you've got to pay £650 to get out the contract.
Oh, dear.
Wonderful. Yeah, we're stuck in one with our TV contract. Yeah. And it's with Now TV, and it's just rubbish. They said it was the same as all of packages that Sky had got and all the rest of it. It's just not. It's absolute rubbish.
That's why I picked the Sky.
Yeah, I wish we had stuck with Sky.
Yeah. So I'm using Vodafone a lot, and what Peter did once, right? Roger, don't do this if you've got nothing on, right? Turn the camera off, right? He
let me see my head out. You
yeah, no. If you stand up, Peter stood up in a lecture once, right? And he forgot he didn't have any pants on.
I won't be standing up in front of my camera.
And put it this way, everyone noticed, and they went, "Oops."
They won't know.
And Peter didn't realise either.
Got to keep cool before I faint.
Exactly. So it is very hot, and I would say that this is the worst weather for animals that you could possibly have. The worst weather you could have for archaeologists excavating an archaeological site. So
what's wrong with the sheep, Carl?
Yeah, no, it was quite. Yeah, I'll tell you the story about the sheep. We've had some late lambings, right? And we knew one of our sheep was pregnant, but we didn't know about the one sheep that's pregnant that needs assistance delivering. So I just went off on a normal Thursday. There was no signs of anyone coming, and I got back, and this sheep was in the corner of the field with a dead lamb hanging out of its back. And I just thought, oh my God, you know,
what a shame. Yeah.
We are very and I've been absolutely gutted. So what's even worse, I had to deliver this dead baby, and there was another one as well. So I was actually quite. So we've got this sheep, and I've been chucking everything at it. And yesterday it was, this was on Thursday last week. So yesterday, I had to shear it, and I'm glad I did, because its fleece was matted in maggots. So it was only a matter of time before that started eating away at her. So I had to get all that off. She's been on her side, and I thought, right, there's been no vets available all weekend. So I've just been putting as much antibiotics into her, as many painkillers, and strangely enough, she sat up today. So
good.
So yes, so so we'll see how it goes tonight. So that's the story of the sheep, which is, to be honest with you, I'm actually I'm really upset, because this is, we got our pedigree sheep, which are our commercial sheep, and we've got our pet sheep. And she's one of our last pet sheep, and it's just that I've just been really. I've been, in my mind, it's been going around. If only I'd been here. If all these things, and I just thought, well, I had no idea that she was pregnant. I had no idea when this was going to happen. So. So yeah. So the good thing would be from this that she survives, but obviously, she's lost her 2 lambs, so they would have been her last as well. So anyway, that's the tragedy of that. So let's it's been really interesting, because Andy wasn't here last week, Roger wasn't here last week, but last week we had Anne coming back, right? Will was here last week, Margaret was here last week, Drina was here last week, and yeah, and David was here last week as well, and I was. So, and then the strange thing was, I turned up on Thursday, on Wednesday, and Anne was back. My Wednesday Anne, she wasn't going to come back at all, right? She managed to, so that was great. And then Pat came back, who's just lost her husband in February, and I just thought, she said, I'm back, and I thought, what is it? A week for people to come back? So yeah, it's good to have people back. So anyway, that explains the Anns. The two Anns are back. Not that they've ever met. Right, Andy, any news from you? Why weren't you here last week, Andy? Terrible.
I was in Lincolnshire and I couldn't get connected up, I'm afraid. I was planning to be back on the Tuesday night, but ended up coming back on Wednesday, which meant I couldn't do the Wednesday one either. So, but yeah, but I forgot to send you a message. Sorry.
Terrible, Andy. Absolutely.
It is. It's very rude. I'm sorry.
No, actually, we thought you could have just said you were saving lives. We would have believed that, and there'd be no problem.
But I can't do things like that. You see, I'm honest.
What, saving lives in Lincoln?
Oh no, I could in Lincolnshire if I'd say, because the training's national. I could have got in touch with the local Coast Guard team and say, "Oh, I'm here if you need me."
Your wife would have loved that.
Well, the in-laws would, because I was at the in-laws doing some work for them. So.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. Oh, sorry, I didn't compete it this time. I have to come back down again with good old Karen. You know, that's good. Oh, your in-laws are still alive.
Oh, yes. Good. Strong and kicking.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, so no other news from you, Andy, then?
No,
okay.
sorry.
I'll tell you what we did last week. We had a bit of we had an odd one last week. We showed a load of images from Pompeii, which were ones that we hadn't shown before. And we looked at, we did Rough Castle last week. I'm sure we did. Yeah, we did. We did. No, we didn't do Rough Castle. No, that was the week before. We did Gasgridge last week, right?
All right.
And we did the Ardoch Roman Fort, right? And it was like, and we were talking about the Gasgridge frontier. And it was very interesting because there's another frontier north of the Gasgridge, right? And archaeologists used to think, right, that there's another frontier. And up until the 1980s, this was the other frontier north of the Gasgridge. It's only turned out to be a Cursus monument, which was probably reused in the Roman period, but it wasn't actually a frontier. So I did the research stuff to do with that. So that was something different. Basically, I started off with saying this could be Roman, and by the end I said no, it's actually, to say a lie, it's actually Neolithic. But that's what archaeology is about, isn't it? So
I like curses.
Yeah, Andy.
And yeah, they do my head in, you know that, because I can't work out what they're for or why they're there.
Even better.
Yes.
It's called the Cleven Dyke or the Clevedon Dyke, right? And it's like no more than 3 miles long. Actually, what I might do is I might get that map up and just do a little bit of a refresh, probably just after the break, right? So I'm going to write that down.
Okay.
And
thank you.
and the one thing about all that is that it's so intriguing what's going on with all the archaeology in Scotland. You know, it's always reinventing, and I keep quoting you, Andy. It's just like the Antonine Wall wasn't made of stone because it wasn't really a frontier. I love that because when you put the content of that in, you look north of the Antonine Wall and you actually see this Gasgridge, and the Ardoch Roman Fort is still in full operation years after the Antonine Wall's constructed. And you're thinking, well, hang on a minute. If this is a frontier, why are they north of it? It's always that. Hadrian's Wall, why are they north of it? And it's just like all that weird stuff. It really is fascinating. But we'll be doing all that stuff again. But I will get that stuff up and we will have a little look. I might be able to get it back from my recycle bin anyway. So let's see. Hopefully. I don't know what this laptop thing is, but you know. Right. Okay, Anne.
I'm nothing to contribute, I'm sorry. Not what happened. Not really. I've been looking at astronomy instead of this week.
We went on so long last week. and Anne was still with us at 10.
I wasn't there right at the end last week, but I left early. But
no, you were sort of there, nearly there.
I got nearly to the end, and then I was falling asleep. So, but I did say that might be possible, and I hope you don't mind me doing that if I need to.
Oh, and Anne has got the exit pass, right? If she starts feeling tired 10 minutes into the class, then she can go. Right, that's fine. You haven't upset her, Roger. Right, anything from you, David?
No, thank you.
Okay, and Roger. Oh, that's really helped, hasn't it? You know, he's just gone off. It's just gone off. Right, okay. So
all in the timing. Yeah,
exactly. So, all right, we're gonna look at two sets of stuff, which are sort of not really. They probably don't make sense, but they will make sense when I've done it. So,
nothing from me.
Rog.
Yeah.
You know, we were just waiting for you. We just paused for 10 minutes then for you to say something.
10 minutes. All right. But you were 12 minutes late. Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm going to slap him in a minute. I really am. Anything, Roger?
No. Nothing. Excellent. Yeah. Very quiet. As yet.
Okay.
But
all right. We'll crack on. And you'll be able to look at yes. My Wildfire Outbreak UK, that sort of film I was working on, is in 3 film festival finals this week.
Good, well done.
So that's yeah. So I'm already an award-winning filmmaker, but now we're looking at that we're doing well in 3 finals, so that's good.
Oh, that's good.
And we've got another one on its way as well, but that's going to take a while to do. Right. So are you looking at me with a certificate?
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
Don't say anything, Roger. But by the way, that is my acting kit that I turn up on a set with. That's me.
That's even polished shoes, Carl.
Yeah. Trendy shoes.
Yeah. Don't think I've ever seen you in polished shoes.
What is? Oh, Judith ain't with us tonight either. Wait, you sounded like somebody off North Last of the Summer Wine. I've not seen him with polished shoes before.
By gum. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
By gum. Hey, he got polished shoes. Look at him. He's going out with polished shoes. I bet you he's saying.
Who does he think he is? Yeah.
Who does he think he is? Oh,
it's not Sunday, is it?
It's not his funeral, is it? Well, my granddad. I'll tell you a story about my granddad. Right, he went to he used to go to all the Barry funerals, right, and for the food. And he turned up at this one. He went. He was he didn't have these clothes to go to a funeral the next day because my nan was washing them, right. So he went to the widow's house, and she said, "Oh, look, Noah, right? Do you want Gilbert's sort of clothes? You know?" So he said, "Yeah. Oh, he's got a really nice suit here, right? He only turned up at Gilbert's funeral with Gilbert's suit on."
That's respect. Yeah.
And it was noticed. Right. Okay. So now I want us to. So actually today we're going to, if you follow the cursor, we're going to be looking there where the hand is, and we're going to be going over there where the other hand is. And then we've got a little story over there where Colchester is. And also what we're going to be doing, we're going to be going over to there, north. We're going to do a bit of the gas grid again. We'll see if we get those images back in. So that'd be good. So actually, this is a perfect map because I just wanted to refresh for Roger and Anne can remember a bit there, and sort of Andy, who wasn't here last week, David will remember this. So so what we've got, I remember saying last week that when you think about Roman era Britain, there's more in these temporary frontiers divisions than meets the eye. And I mentioned when we did the Port Way, which is this yellow road here that actually does extend all the way to Exeter. But this to me indicates really quite sincerely, and over to Colchester as well, not to forget Colchester, maybe this grey line. But this could probably represent this road, this Port Way, this really precise road, which goes through Caliver Atrebatum, which the Romans would have needed to have contained quite earlier on, because they had friends there. We've got Dorchester, De Novaria, which is the place of Maiden Castle. So all of this, and Sora Vidunum, which is actually Old Sarum, right? Sora Vidunum, which is Old Sarum. But one thing I was saying last week, if we remember we did the Roman stuff, we're thinking about AD 4-5. The Romans are not really in London yet. They definitely are in Colchester in AD 4-3. But when you think about this, this would represent the earliest advance of the Roman world in Britain, right? There was obviously stuff further north, but up until about AD 50. So you could think about that as maybe the first frontier. That's one thing I was looking at last week. It's like a raised surface. It's sort of in cuttings. Very, very similar, but it's got its own individual attributes, the Port Way. When we go to the Fosse Way, the Fosse Way, this is always decided as the most sort of westerly frontier in Roman era Britain up to AD 60 and that big event involving Boudica. Somewhere around the middle, and I've always felt this, there should be something else. Not really sure it's a road, but there's something missing, because the Romans didn't actually completely really start to move all the way up to Staingate, right, until roughly about AD 75. So what are they doing in the meantime? What are they using as divisions, boundaries? This is one thing I was saying last week. But then, so we've got Port Way, first sort of division of Britain frontier. Then we've got this Fosse Way, number 2, AD 60, something else in the middle, but we'll ignore that. Staingate, frontier 3. Staingate is like this raised road, right? That's why Corbridge is where it is. That's why Corbridge is south. And this is why Arbia is south, right? When you think about Corbridge, for example, you're thinking, oh, it's a major Roman site, but why is it a few miles south of Hadrian's Wall? But it is a few miles south of Hadrian's Wall. And then you think about, hey, then you think, this is where we leapfrog, right? There's my hand. We go up to here, the Gasc Ridge. And this is what makes this interesting, because the Gasc Ridge exists before Hadrian's Wall, before the Antonine Wall, and it still exists after Hadrian's Wall has been constructed, the Antonine Wall has been constructed. So this is what makes this a really, really interesting territory when we're looking at Roman era Britain. And when we think about the Gasc Ridge, we're thinking our Dock Roman fort, we're thinking about Inch Tut Hill. It's actually said Inch Tut Hill, the hill on the hill or whatever. So where my hand is, sort of just off the River Tay. Now, when you're trying to work out frontiers in Roman Britain, you're thinking, okay, Gasc Ridge, that's the 4th one. Then we got Hadrian's Wall, AD 120, AD 1 by 130. The Antonine Wall, and whatever else is going on in Scotland, which I can't answer today. So I want to start off with that, but the place I want to go, I want to recap on something which is quite interesting, which is quite fascinating, and then we go to a site in Wales, right? So there we go.
Carl, sorry, I've got a call out. I'm going to have to whiz off. Hopefully I'll be back. It shouldn't be too long.
Andy, keep safe.
Yep, thank you. Bye, guys.
Look after yourself, Andy. Take care. Guys, can we just come off a minute and just I've got to because what's going to happen is when Andy comes back, I'm going to need one of you to let Andy back on whilst I'm speaking, right? So we're gonna anyone who's okay with, my God, Anne, if you fall asleep, that means I'm down to 2, 3.
But I'm all right at the minute.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm paying attention at the minute.
Good. Okay, that's not a problem. You don't have to explain. So, someone who knows the technology is going to have to be Roger. Roger. So if somebody flashes up on the screen, right? Well, maybe they will be flashing, right? Then what I want you to do, I want you to let them in. So anyway, let's go back to the screen and on the share. I thought there'd be a few people away tonight, including Gina. I don't know about Judith. She's probably out. I don't know. I think. See, I told you. I said that you'd upset everyone. Right. So I'm going to go to an image that we're not meant to be starting off with now. So where's that image? Image. Okay, I've lost my image. There. You should be seeing something that says camp, Kaya or Gaia. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, we're just gonna run over lots of the images that we're meant to be doing tonight. Back to me. And now, a few weeks ago, we mentioned Benwell, right? And I thought, how did they come about by this reconstruction? So what we've got really nice section of wall which is associated with a ditch. Okay. And I showed you a reconstruction, the Benwell Valham crossing. It's a nice piece of archaeology. And what we're basically there is Conderucum, which is basically Newcastle. And there's a few interesting things with that. And this is Benwell, Conderucum. And the other thing that you can see on here is the Staingate Road. So if we go back here, we go back to our images. Now, this reconstruction is really interesting because it's based on a nice piece of archaeology. And if we sort of zoom in on this a little bit, I should have edited this properly a minute, which I'm going to do now. And so basically reconstructing archaeology in the past is done on fragments. But when you think of something like this image in front of us, you can clearly see that there's a nice bit of archaeology there. So the archaeology itself, which gives us the Benwell Valham and the reconstruction drawing. Now, coming back to this, because when we had this flashed up on my phone, and I just thought, right, I need to revisit this site, like lots of other Roman stuff. So I'm going to go to an image that I've got here, and it came to my mind because I actually read a description associated with this very image, and it says this is the only surviving fortified causeway along the entire length of Hadrian's Wall. That's why it's important. That's why it's important. So basically going over the causeway, right? This is the only surviving section. This is the only surviving piece of fortified gateway, which when you look at the reconstruction, looks like that. Now, maybe I've over-exaggerated it. Is that massively fortified? Maybe you could go down the ditch and up the other side, down the ditch, up the other side, and fair enough. But this was probably built by about AD 130 to control access to the Roman fort of Conderucum. The Benwell Valham crossing in Newcastle was cut through the Valham, and the great defensive earthwork running parallel to the wall. The crossing featured a paved roadway and a secure gateway with heavy double doors that could only be opened from the military side. This, and obviously back to, and look at that, we're loving it. Look how deep, look at that really nice section of Roman stonework there. So what they've in essence done, they've actually built a wall that's sort of linear, and then they've actually then made the ditch this V shape, and the rest of it's hidden, as we actually see with this illustration. So excavated in the 1930s, the site still preserved its original Roman masonry. Loving it, doesn't it? And there's a typical Roman blocks. They're really, really nice bit of detail, that. Revetment wall, which is that thing that goes into the ground, and the distinct stone pivot holes where the heavy timber gates once swung. So let's look at the other illustration. Oh, hang on. Actually, keep with this one. So a photograph of the Valham crossing taken during excavation 1934, showing at the center the cornice block reused as a pivot hole. There it is. You can see that nice piece of masonry there, that nice bit of stonework. Now, there's something I'm going to say about this, which is a bit weird, right? Which is a bit weird. So you've got a pivot hole in there. You can just about see it there, pivot hole, right? And all of these here are basically part of the lifting equipment that they could be lifted up. Anyway, so that's the pivot hole, and this is a reused cornice block, right? Now that's significant, and I'll tell you what it's really significant that is. And the pivot hole for one of the leaves of the gate that controlled the crossing, which we then go back to the reconstruction. That's what we're talking about there. We're talking about that, and you've got the pivot hole tucked in there, right, into the block. Now, and the block was probably so we've got this as well. But this is really interesting. And why is this really interesting? Now, this is archaeology forensics. That's a reused stone in a gateway that had been erected between AD 122 and AD 130. And why is that? Why is this significant? It indicates that there was a very large Roman building somewhere nearby where this stone was taken from to be made and used in this gateway. I think that that's absolutely fascinating. So what does that tell me? That tells me that maybe there's archaeology that has been demolished in the Roman period. So the Romans are demolishing buildings in the Roman period, and that material is then being reused in structures like this. I think that's unbelievably fascinating. That tells us of a story of reuse and a story of archaeology that is missing so far. Another site, another Roman site that existed before the archaeology here. So it's part of a much bigger Roman fort. So reconstruction drawing of the gate halfway across the Valham Causeway, controlling access to the military zone between the Valham and Hadrian's Wall. The arch may have been more elaborately decorated than is shown here. Now, the Valham itself is on the south side of Hadrian's Wall, right? And then you've got the military zone, and then you've got the fort. So this is sort of controlling traffic north and south into the territory and beyond the territory. So if we go to my notes, which I'm gonna get in front of me now. Conducum. Now, interestingly enough, one thing about conducum is a conducum was still in use in the AD 400s. That's an interesting point. And again, if we describe this in the context of the landscape, and if we just make it this little bit more fun. Oh, this is a really interesting map, by the way. So you've got Arbia, which is part of the earlier frontier associated with sort of Staingate, which is sort of over here and bits and pieces. And you've got Corbridge here. Now, this is Conducum. This is Benwell, which is still in use into the AD 400s. But what is also in use into the AD 400s is Bird Oswald. Now, all of this is really, really fascinating stuff because, you know, the true story of Hadrian's Wall and Vindolanda, we're getting early evidence. So Vindolanda is really interesting as well because it's along the old Staingate Road before Hadrian's Wall was constructed. Really, really interesting stuff, that. So if we go back to there, looking at the archaeology, right? And I do believe that that's a little bit of reconstruction here, right? But there would be a pivot hole there, which you can just about see there. There'll be another pivot hole here. And this is obviously going into the fort itself. Really, really interesting, that. So if we talk a little bit more, and actually, guys, we're going to say it, that's probably one of the better preserved bits of Roman road in the whole of Britain. Not only has this been surviving sort of crossing of the Valum itself, what we know is that quite clearly with this site, and quite clearly with the history and the dedications at Condacum, it's very, very likely that people going back and forth into this area. So the Valum is going to be south of Hadrian's Wall, sort of north of sort of this sort of Staingate and its extensions. And what we've then got is that standing on the inscription above, it's very, very likely that it may have a description of one of the garrisons that were actually at the fort. And one of the garrisons was the Vangunonium Militaria Equata, which was actually from Germany. This is a nominal strength of 100 men, but it's likely that only half of this number occupied the fort. Start again, not 100 men, 1,000 men. Sorry, that sounded really low. So 1,000 men. So it's probably less than 500 were actually garrisoned here. And what we've then got, we've got other information that we've got a Roman detachment of troops, auxiliary detachment, ALA, cavalry, based here up until the year AD 367, which is also 500 strong. So I just wanted to bring this back into this, and I just wanted to say that, you know, lots of the archaeology that we do see today is either archaeology that's been excavated a long time ago, and is still available for public viewing, and not necessarily like this, but obviously enough that we can understand what the archaeology was once like. So fort was excavated in the 1920s to 1930s. Dedication tablet found. Maybe this tells us the dedication tablets associated with the year AD 122, when lots of the stonework is being constructed, except for this thing here. Whatever building, the cornice, is that actually from a temple, a Roman temple? What's a Roman temple doing this far north at this time? Anyway, so also pottery was found that dated to the 130s, 140s, and obviously what we got, other finds from the site include altars, statues of Lloyd George, square head and cruciform brooches, and even a strong room, a treasure vault, and finding a silver spoon. All part of the archaeology. You know what they say, being born with a silver spoon in your mouth, Roger? I'm not. I'm born with a wooden spoon. So, what we one thing that I'm really intrigued by is when you go to look at that there, right? That there is original, right? And that there is original, but it doesn't look original, doesn't it? Does it? Because what we've got, we clearly see that is there, right? And that is there with the pivot hole and a reused stone, right? That doesn't look real, but it is. I had to look twice. That's not real. That's been reconstructed, right? So the one thing in archaeology is this sort of thing that I keep saying, what's original and what's not. And it really helps us to understand the past if we can understand what is wrong and what is right. And one thing that is clear here is the fact that this is not a very wide gateway. Because carts and wagons were not big, right? They were not massively wide. There was probably a standardization of the widths of carts in Roman era Britain. And this is how you can sort of work out the narrowness of the gateway. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go on to the next subject, right? And again, that looks like it's some of that wall. This wall here has been reconstructed. And how do I know that? It doesn't look anything like this. This is not Roman stonework, right? This is modern stonework to indicate that this was actually where the fort was. Moving on. Yeah, I wanted to sort of just have a little before we get to this. One thing that we've got is that we've got Wall's End, and there's this big argument: how much did the wall actually go from sea to sea, right? Oh, this was an inlet here. It's always that question. So Condicum, part of Newcastle today, and we've mentioned Corbridge and Vindolanda, and all these great sites like Housestead we visited there, and the Chesters, Great Chesters, and Bird Oswald as well. So all these wonderful sites going all the way through to Carlisle and Bowness. But this is equally fascinating. So this takes us to this takes us to understand that a sense of the landscape, right, in regards to the Roman landscape and how everything was set within this vista. Now, when you think about it, right, this here is a cross section which starts here. If we move in, Bowness on Solway, and we then head, and if we could go like that, so you can get an idea of the contour of the land. So it's fairly flat here, okay. And we go to Yux Salodun, which is here. And interestingly enough, then if we follow this here, we go all the way to a specific site known as Mile Castle 39. So it's rocky, it's craggy, and this is a cross section of the landscape. And then, interesting enough, it drops into a like sort of valley. So that would be a valley running up here. So we've got this valley. And then what we've then got is we go all the way to the Novaria. And then we mentioned Condicum, which is Benwell, and Sagentum, and we've got Arbia. They say that the one story is that the Roman wall did not go all the way to the sea because it didn't need to, right? But there's talk that it may have actually gone to the sea, may have been eroded away. So when you think about this, right, principal section. So what we've clearly got, and you can see that this here, where my cursor is, this is looking out into no man's land, which is not really no man's land at all, because there's lots of stuff north of Hadrian's Wall. So you've got this grey line here, which is the military way. And then you've got a vallum as well. And obviously the vallum itself is sometimes V-shaped or V flat-bottomed. And so that gives you a good idea of the section. And whenever you do look at something like this, you start to work out that there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. So, for example, follow this, yeah? You're thinking, why are all these Roman forts here? Why are all these roads? What is going on? And what is going on is quite simple. This was not a Roman frontier. It can't be a Roman frontier if you've got civilians and settlements and forts north of Hadrian's Wall. And as I've said before countless times, Hadrian's Wall is fed with water from the north. Interesting enough, fascinating as that is, it's fed with water from the north. So again, that big question is, what is Hadrian's Wall, right? And it was never actually called Hadrian's Wall in the Roman period. It was called the Great Wall. It's called the Great Vallum, right? Because it is a wall, but walls don't necessarily mean to say frontiers, because on the eastern part of the Roman Empire, they've got these big ditches and big banks and all the rest of it, and you've got the River Rhine and you've got the Danube and all the rest of it that aids aids the sense of frontiers in regards to the eastern part of the Roman world, particularly Germany. So looking at this again gives you an idea, but an idea that there's more going on than meets the eye. And again, looking at all this, look at these little red dots. This said talking about mining activity, right? Mining activity, lots of this to build Hadrian's Wall. Mining activity north of Hadrian's Wall. And you're thinking, right, there's something more to this than meets the eye. Now,
I think it's Carl.
Yeah, go on, Raj.
With all of this, there must have been a lot of quarrying around somewhere, but no one's ever mentioned finding any quarries to see what things that might be their tools, how they worked it all, and everything.
Actually, Roger, we do have something known as Gelt wood. Would you like to see Gelt wood?
Yes.
Now, I do believe I'm these two red things here are actually. I think that's where Gelt wood is. So if I answer that question, and there's not many of us now tonight, so we may as well just answer that question. It's called Gelt woods, and if you type in Gelt woods and you type in Roman inscriptions, right, and this is south of Hadrian's Wall rather than being north, which didn't make any difference. And so what I'm going to do now, Geltwood means written rock. That's what that means. So I know you're not seeing this now. So I just want to go, we'll go through a load of slides now. So what have you got showing on your screen?
That's the map of the Hadrian's Wall area.
Right. We're going to go to an article online. So let's go to the article online to precisely answer that. So you can put in your mind that where we are. So I'm going to change the screen now. We're going to share again. Answering your question. I like mine. If somebody's intrigued about something else, they can say, well, Roger's had his bit. I want a bit as well. So let's just see how we go. Right. So let's just go with the Chrome tab on here. Hey, there we go. It's Rog. So we're going to look at Hadrian's Wall Roman graffiti. And we're going to share. It should be coming up in a few moments. And whilst that's there we go.
I'm not hearing you, Carl. Are you?
Jelly. It's frozen up.
Oh, I wasn't hearing it. I thought it was perhaps me, but
Yeah. And have a cup of tea, I think. Right.
looks like I don't know whether he's
Yeah.
concentrating. He's not moving now. Can't see his lips moving. His picture seems to have...
Probably. Okay.
Yeah.
Loading the airwaves, I don't know. Oh, it is. Oh.
Roger muted me. That's why I couldn't hear. That's why I couldn't speak.
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
So, right. Okay. Roger, do you know how to right? There's a system fault, right? So occasionally when I'm looking at something online, right? Is he still there?
I can't see him.
Oh my God. Right. Okay.
His chair's empty.
I was talking about his piece, right? And I couldn't. Roger, right. Basically, what happened, right? Something happened, and basically, you muted me, right? Because you've got the co-host thing, right? Now on your device, it basically says it's got a few controls, right? So in the chat box, I said, Roger, unmute me, right? Can you see that? So what we're going to do, we're going to go back on, right? And I'm gonna go back on. Andy knows how to do this. If this doesn't work, then we're just gonna have to. You're not gonna be able to see the Gelt Wood stuff. So we'll just see if we can get it again. Right. Okay. Here we go. And there, nearly done. Come on. Right. Okay. Gelt Wood. We'll get back to it. Right. Okay.
What?
Right. Right. Roger. Is it showing online now?
No, you're frozen. Frozen again. Chicken. Oh, there. Oh.
Your voice is gone.
What?
Your voice went then, Carl. You looked like you were saying something. I couldn't hear you, but the thing is showing on screen. I can't hear you.
Yes, he froze just now. Before this. Then this came up again and froze. I guess. I was wondering if this is the quarry I was on about.
Everyone unmute me. What's that?
Who?
It disappeared.
Oh.
Right, I was speaking, but basically, I was trying to show you the article, right? And what happens is that one of you has to put my voice on when I'm looking at something which is on the internet, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying to Roger, unmute me. And obviously, you've got to know about the settings. So anyway, the point is, I was trying to show you images of these things from Gelt Wood. So what I'm going to do, right, after the break, I'm going to get those images on my computer and I'll be able to show you. But they've been one thing about Gelt Wood, which is near Brampton, which is not too far away from Bird Oswald, right? Roger, were you on that trip that we did to Hadrian's Wall?
To where?
When we went to Hadrian's Wall.
Yes, yeah, in the bad weather as well.
Yeah, I did. We were on the itinerary. We were meant to be going to see the carvings at Brampton, right? But because the roads were flooded, we couldn't get to it.
In bad condition, terrible.
The conditions were so bad that Yeah, there's a story about this, right? I was told that when you've got water on the road, you've got to go through that water really fast.
Yeah.
And basically there was the minibus, right? Because I took my own car, right? So and Andy was behind me, right? And I actually drove through this water so fast, it caused a swell behind Andy on his car. And he went past me and he beeped. He gave me the 2 V's, right? He didn't know it was me in the car, right? So anyway, I got further up the road and my car broke down, right?
I
And
remember.
I panicked, right? The reason why my car broke down was it ran out of fuel.
Oh,
So I ended up phoning.
I've done that. I've done that with a Dickie. What's it?
Yeah, I ended up phoning somebody on the minibus saying, "Look, we're waiting for the recovery people. My car's broken down, right?" But then I looked at the gauge. There was no fuel in the tank, so I then filled it with fuel. I got there, right? Andy was just getting out of his car, and he didn't see me pull into the car park. He said, "Did you see that something idiot, right, who was driving through the water really fast?" And I looked at Michelle, and Michelle looked at me, and I said, "Actually, it was me, Andy."
Still friends.
So yeah, and Andy didn't apologize. He still called me an idiot. So I've known Andy for a while. So Andy can get away with it. You know, he really can. So I've known Andy since 2012, and I think we had the trip to Hadrian's Wall in 2019. So that was a pretty good trip. Anyway, we're gonna get back to some more images. Roger, can I just indicate, right? If we're ever in a position where I've got to ask you to unmute me, right? What you do, you click onto my name, right? And then it's basically comes up straight away. It says mute, right? Or unmute. Yeah. Have you got that?
I think I did. Clicking your name on here now.
Yeah, so basically if you click if you put the cursor over my name that says Jimbo, right?
Yeah.
There's a blue box that says mute and there's a blue box that says more. Have you got that?
Well, I've clicked on it, nothing's happened.
Oh well, basically I've got it my end. Anyway, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to look at some more images. We're going to go to the other side. I'm sorry about that. This is a learning curve still, right? There's nothing wrong with the reception or anything. So we're going to go back to this, and we're going to go and get the images back up. I think I was trying to do a bit more than I should have done then. A bridge too far. So it should be coming up now, and we should have an image. Right. Okay. Have you got an image showing? Yeah, you've got an image.
Oh, no.
Now you do.
No.
No.
Well, I don't.
You don't have an image.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yes, it's image now. A map. The map.
Map of Hadrian's Wall.
The map.
The
map. Basically, after the break, I'll show you these images, Roger.
Yeah.
But Brampton is basically where my cursor is. It's there. You see that little red dot?
No.
That's where Brampton is. That dot there. That's where we were going to go. Geltwood.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now, can you notice a similarity? These blocks here, right, are very similar to the blocks that we have got there. Right. This is standard Roman stonework.
Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not standard Roman work because that's modern, which is good. It tells us that's been reconstructed, right? So when we know that this is Roman because it's the block work on the outside is standard. These big chunky blocks, you know. So I was asked by Bill. You know what Bill's like, Roger? He always gets what he wants. And Bill on the Wednesday class. It's really there's a story that me and Roger have got about Bill, but we're not going to tell it tonight because I think you'll all go asleep. But the one thing about this, he said, look, I've taken a group of people to Igaia, and basically Igaia means the fort or the place of the fort, right? And or Caer, Caer, or Gaer. And this is known as Gaer, which is outside Brecon, which is in the beating heart of Wales. And Bill said, "Oh, can you just chuck this in one of your classes?" And I thought, "All right, then I'll chuck it in one of the classes." Right. I'll just tell you a couple of interesting things. We've done bits and pieces with Hadrian's Wall. We've done bits and pieces with Southern England, and do you know what? We've not really done anything about Cymru Wales at all. But I just thought I'd chuck this in. Now, this is really interesting, and the timeline with this is this was built a whole 50 years before Hadrian's Wall. Yeah. And the really, really interesting thing with this is the gateways that have been archaeologically excavated, and there's one over by here as well. So this is a really interesting site here. The farmer lets you go and have a little bit of a look. That bit of wall that you've seen, you can't really see it clearly, but that bit of wall that you've actually just seen, which is this bit of wall, is that bit of wall along here. I've only ever been here when it's not. I've been here about 6 times, and it's only once not been raining, right? You usually get that's when it's raining, right, or damp. But this really ties us in with the stuff at Hadrian's Wall. I could do a little bit of a potted history. I haven't got many images, but we've got a really nice aerial view. And if we note Igaia. Now we've been doing a little bit of map work recently, and I'm just going to chuck this in here as well. So this is from the Ordnance Survey map. I actually think this is actually before 1884, but between friends. But back in the day, everything was called Caer, right? Hill Fort, Maiden Castle, Caer, right? Roman forts along Hadrian's Wall, Caer, right? Fort, right? Now this is the point, right? The point with all of this is that everything was called fort by the Ordnance Survey. So when people started excavating these places, they actually thought they were Roman. This is Roman, but lots of places are not Roman that the Ordnance Survey said were Roman by just putting Caer on them. We've even got sites from the 1600s that are Roman forts. There you go. So I like maps, I really do. But anyway, think about this again, and what we've got here is a gateway. Now this is really interesting. This gateway is there, right? And you've got a gateway here as well. But this is really interesting because this is a gateway that goes nowhere. Yeah, it was blocked up. This is a gate. Basically, what happened with all Roman forts were built in a certain plan, right? Roman forts now, not sort of marching camps or whatever. They can be any shape, form, whatever. But lots of forts like this had a certain plan to them. Not that they were all rectangular, not that they were all square, but they all had 4 entrances. Hadrian's Wall's the same. You've got lots of well, I'll make a point there, because when you think about this here, right, and you think about this rocky ground where Mile Castle 38, right, so 39, so Mile Castle just goes nowhere because it's rocky, but there's still a gateway that goes over a precipice because they had to put a gateway. Mile Castle is a miniature fort, so Fortlet, miniature fort, they've got these gateways and so on. So this is the point, right? So Igaia was built, as I say, 50 years before Hadrian's Wall, right? Roughly around AD 75, and sits on a crossroads of Roman roads associated with this sort of upland area of Cymru Wales. It was part of a small chain of similar forts, including one at Abergavenny, which has been extensively excavated. If anyone's been to Abergavenny from Cumbria, it's a really nice place, particularly when there's a food festival and you can get free food. And they're basically saying that all of these forts were sort of along a timeline of sort of 28 miles, sort of a day's march, for example. So according to some sources, a lot of stories are associated with this fort. And it's very likely that lots of the stones from this fort were taken to eventually build Brecon Castle in 1093. So lots of these sites have been looted, but this is actually more than a couple of miles away. I think it's 6 miles away from Brecon. But one of the names that really springs to mind, isn't it, Roger? Sir Mortimer Wheeler, right? Sir Mortimer Wheeler's doing loads of archaeological excavation work across South Cymru, South Wales, and southern England. Sir Mortimer Wheeler. So he excavated this site in the 1920s. However, it said he excavated the site in the 1920s. He probably only went there on a Wednesday afternoon and left somebody else to do the excavation work and took all the glory. But that's Sir Mortimer Wheeler. Like many forts that we actually do find up and down the country. There's me again. Like many of these places that we do find up and down the country, they had a garrison of about 50 individuals. And this one had a garrison like Hardknott in Cumbria of 50 cavalrymen. These actually at this site itself, one of the garrisons, right, was actually from Spain. And it's obviously said that they obviously changed their garrisons a lot. Initially, it was a wooden. There were wooden palisades and so on. It was sort of made of timber. But what we've then got is that it was made of stone. Stone barrack blocks and all the rest of it. So what we've got is that this site goes into use and is still used in the mid AD 300s. So there's a bit of a link with Hadrian's Wall there, with Burth Oswald and Benwell. It's still being used. It's a really nice site to visit. And I do believe I got some other images. I'm just trying to work out where these other images are. Hang on a minute. There are other images. I can't seem to find them. Hang on a minute. If I just go back out a minute and just see where my other images are, because I do have other ones. I'm just going to double check a minute. If you bear with me, I'm bearing. There we go. There are other images. Hang on. I don't know why I can't get to them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get to this image. I'm liking this, and so there we go. And let's just sort of let's just stop sharing and come back onto sharing as well. Sharing's caring, Roger. So we're going to go back there. Right, and we've got that there. I'm getting the woolage. I'm just going to get this. Right, this there. I knew I had some more stuff to show you. And there. Love it. Come up now. Okay, we've got another image sharing. And can you see this? A nice little bit of a plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now what you can what you've usually got, right, is that what you usually have with these types of sites is that you've got this is another site, by the way. You usually got with these sites vicuses. You've usually got other earthworks around them. You've usually got sort of settlements, and this is very similar to what Igaia was like. It wasn't just a standalone fort. That's the point. This is another site, by the way, but this is just to sort of illustrate that what we've got is that around here there's a settlement. It's very rare that you've just got a Roman fort that's by itself, because people would have come in and sort of traded with the Romans. In fact, this is the point I keep making, right? When you think about Roman era Britain, these Roman things are not alone, right? They're just not alone. There's always stuff associated with them, and what we can clearly see here, right, is that we've got the fort, right, and this is sort of a lidar, right, and they're sort of saying that they can actually see shadows of other things and little bits of settlement. They're not very clear on this, but Igaya, and that there is actually the gateway, one of the gateways, and that goes nowhere, right, because you've got all this alluvial stuff. But this gateway does. You can actually still follow a bit of the road. So when we actually go to there, looking a little bit more of the wall, this is what we're going to do after the gate, after the gate, after the break. And again, this is clear. You can actually see all these Roman stones, which are exactly the same type as the Roman stones used in the construction of Hadrian's Wall. So it's a standardization. This is the Roman image, the Roman visage, standardization around the Roman world. And again, back to when we think of that, looks very sort of rectangular looking, like this fort at Penargraig, another site in Cymru, Wales. And again, sort of give you a bit of an outline. And my question is, and I'm going to pose this question, right? Was any of this showing when this was surveyed by the Ordnance Survey? Hang on. Was there any of this showing when it was actually originally surveyed? That's what I'd like to know. I really would, because it's not, the wall itself is actually quite an impressive wall. It's 2 meters tall, plus 2.5 meters at this height, right? So some of this must have been showing, but you don't get that on Ordnance Survey maps. And again, I'm looking at this thinking, how much of this was actually there when they excavated in the 1920s? How much of this has been excavated? So when we go back to thinking about hard knot Roman fort in Cumbria, we're thinking what they've done, they've outlined the reconstruction stuff with the original, and they did that in the 1920s. I'm really, really happy with that. I love going to hard knot, and it was like a woman that I was engaged to back then. Like, we'd go visiting all these sites, and she would say, she'd say, oh, that's quite a tall wall. And I said, oh, well, can you see that little grey line there? Right. The stuff at the bottom is the original. They put the grey line there, and then they rebuilt the rest with the remaining stone around the site, which I think is great. And obviously, when you are rebuilding a Roman wall, this nicely dressed stuff is on the outside, and the rough stuff is in the middle. Easy, Bob's your uncle. And can I, before we go on our break, right? What I'm going to do, I want to, because I think David might be going after this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an image. Right, I'm going to grab an image, and I'm going to photograph it, and I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you why I was first inspired by a Roman wall. Right, I wasn't planning to do this tonight, but I wanted to do this, right? So just give me a couple of seconds, right, and I will just explain something, because I mention this occasionally, every now and again. So if I take a photograph with that, right, and I take, Roger knows what I'm talking about in a moment, and I'm just going to get another image, one that really shows what I want to oh, I got a really nice image here. So we're going to show you this. So I'm going to go back out of the images, and I'm going to come back in, right? This is a nice one, but not really what I wanted to show. So you will see this in a moment, right? So here we go. Just bear with me, folks. Just bear with me a couple of seconds. Okay. Is it going to come up? Is it going to let me do this? Right. Bit slow on you. I'm going to get another one right there. Right. I got it. Right. I got what I wanted. Right. So what we're going to do, we're going to sign back a minute. Right. And I want to show you this, why this inspired me to be into the Romans. Right. So I've got these images now, so I'm not going to do what we did earlier on and lose my voice. So we're going to go there, stop the sharing. We're going to go back to there. Can you see Anne?
All right. I can only see all photographs of us. I haven't got, nothing's come up yet.
No, you've gone black.
And you've gone silent again.
Yeah. Carly, you there?
Can you hear us?
No. Don't know. That's the internet or what? Jimbo. I'm going to go, Roger. What? I'm going to go. You're going? Yeah. Oh. Dave's gone. Bye-bye. Oh. Mm.
Oh, something's happening.
Something's going on.
No.
Mm.
Jimbo is the host now.
Yeah.
Right.
We want to see one of you. No, we got no.
Sorry, folks, it's just me. I think I've been trying to do too much tonight by showing you other things, right? But what I've got is I've got my inspirational thing I want to show you about Cardiff Castle. I'm so that there. Where's David gone?
He's
retired.
He's tired.
All right. Okay. Right. So
Andy's
I
not
want
back.
to. We'll have a bit. Right. Okay. But he was okay, was he?
Yes, I think so. He seems so.
Okay.
Oh, it does.
Right. Okay. Right. He doesn't. But I want to show you this initial inspiration for Cardiff Castle. Right. So and the Romans. So I was trying to get the image, and it sort of went to pot. So yes, as things do. It's not the computer tonight. It's me. So which is fair enough. It's been pretty. The connection's been pretty good tonight. It's just been I've just been trying to do too much. Right, so we'll just try and I'm going to get onto my images now. We're going to go there. Right, we're going to show you this. Anne wouldn't have seen this, but David, Roger will know what I'm talking about. Right, so we've got this here, and then we're going to go this here. Okay, I'm gonna get some straw. I'm gonna get some straw in for the for bedding for the sheep whilst we're having a break. So yeah, I love her. She's a brown sheep, and she's a kind little sheep. So there we go. Right, we're gonna share this now. Share. Good. Let's do it. Share. Sonny and share. Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Good. Right. Okay. I'm just going to find the image. Da, 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 da. It's not really working the way I wanted it to. Right. Okay. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Right. Oh, blow it. Right. We got it. We got it. Got the right there. Okay, there. Right. Are you looking at a load of images on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And you should be seeing. Right. Okay. Now, Anne, have you ever seen the outside? Have you ever seen the outside of the wall at Cardiff Castle?
No.
Are you?
I don't think I have. I've been to Cardiff, but I can't remember seeing the wall. No.
Yeah. Well, basically, there's a castle in Cardiff, which you got an image of it on the screen now,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And the one thing that I keep talking about reconstructing and knowing what's the original thing and not is that the guy who was responsible, who owned Cardiff Castle and the docks, was the Marquis of Bute. So the third Marquis of Bute, owning the area of the castle, rebuilt all of that stuff over there. But then when they were digging, they actually found, because on the outside of this was all medieval buildings, they tore them all down, right? So in the 1870s, 1877, William Burgess said, hang on a minute, right? Who's the architect? He said, there's this old wall, right? So what they did, they cleared all the earth banking and they exposed this wall. And William Burgess basically said, wouldn't it be great if we outlined the Roman wall with another stone? So when people came to Cardiff, they could see the Roman, and then they could see the stuff that we did in the 1870s and 1880s. And that's precisely what they did, right? So what you've then got is that what really inspired me to be interested in the Romans was in fact this, right? Because inside the walls of Cardiff Castle is this, right? And this is a long length of wall. And actually under most of the wall of Cardiff Castle, there's the Roman wall. So what they did, they took the template of the Roman wall and just rebuilt the wall above it.
Turrets in the same place.
Exactly in the same place. Nothing's been moved. No, exactly the same.
Yeah, the Stone Castle even.
So it's amazing that happened, that they did that. And I'm really pleased that they did that in the 1870s, 1880s, that they had the foresight to do that. Because what they could have done, they could have just built it all in the same stone and nobody would have known what the Roman stuff was. And it wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have had the same meaning, right?
Yeah.
That there is the original Roman wall. But except it's the fourth Roman wall in Cardiff, because the first Roman fort in Cardiff was 4 times bigger, right? But this wall itself is the fourth one. And this was probably still in use into the 400s. There were probably 2 surviving Roman garrisons in Cymru, Wales, maybe 3. One at Sagontium in North Wales, and there was one in Cardiff in South Wales, and one in Holyhead, where the walls at the fort in Holyhead, more or less, about 2/3 of it still stand. It's great. It's fascinating, right? But this itself is the real deal. And why this is really, I used to just go in there just to see the wall. I don't know. I fell in love with it. It was like my first real girlfriend, Roger. A wall. And the one thing about this wall is that the material it's made out of comes from my own town, Barry, down the road. So this, I could probably study this wall and tell you precisely where this stone came from. And I could show you the quarry where this stone came from, because the quarry still exists. It's being eroded into the sea, but that was taken from Barry all the way to Cardiff, and we're talking about hundreds of thousands of tons of stone, and they built this. So this is what inspires me about the Roman era, the Roman period. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to find out if there's any questions, and then I'm going to go out and play with my sheep. I'm going to give Glow some more hay. They're not hay. She has fresh grass. So I'll go get some fresh grass, and she's still got some internal problems, but she's up on her two. Not when I say up on her two legs, she's sort of they're folded underneath herself, so she's upright. Before she was just on her side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll
I hope she gets better, because it is upsetting men. Animals that you care for. Well, yeah, I think one cares for all animals. You don't like to see any of them suffer, do you? Not any animal at all.
But
and one that you care for is very special, even more so. Yeah.
Because the thing is, I feel responsible, and I've been driving around, and I've been thinking, if only I had decided to go to Barry on the Friday and not the Thursday.
Yeah.
Then my head is saying, would you have actually been in the field at that precise time when she's giving birth? Would her lambs have died anyway? And I'm just thinking, it was just, I had about a 2-hour window.
Yeah, I say though, you can't beat yourself up about it, because you had to organise your life without knowing. So you didn't know which time you needed to be there. Otherwise, you would have been.
You don't know. Hindsight is wonderful. Same old thing.
Yeah. And now I can understand why women that until more recent centuries have had to have cesarean sections, and what would have happened to those women if the children. It's exactly the same as a sheep. It's because this Glow, I had to intervene the first time when she gave birth, right?
Yeah.
I remember it was like I was lucky to be in the field at that time. It was like 4 a.m, and because I was checking on my sheep because I knew they were due, right? And I had all the lambing training, but nothing prepared me for this. So I remember that day. I thought, right. I looked at Glow. I said, it's either you die and the baby dies, or the baby dies and you live, or I try and get you to both. And I yanked this baby out of her, right? And lucky both of them survived, right? But yeah, it was. I was really sickened, but that's life.
I'm sure, awful.
So what happened?
How do you know they may be having twins sometimes? How do you know what's due?
Yeah, exactly. And because she had been lying in the blood in the afterbirth for a few hours, right? All that was absorbed into a fleece. And so the next day, there's flies around her, and then and it's just thinking, right, okay, there's something not going well here. So I basically thought, right, I got to get the fleece off her, right? Now, my mind was thinking, right, just get the fleece off her, right? Think that you're going to be able to sell the fleece, right? And you're doing it because, you're getting the fleece off her. My mind had to think something different. I was actually getting the fleece off her to save her life. The fleece I can't use anyway because it's ruined.
Yeah.
Right? I can't use it, but I needed to think away, because as I'm cutting the fleece, I got all these maggots and stuff, and I'm cutting. I'm just thinking, right, okay, so yeah, I had to.
Not easy. Not easy.
No, it wasn't. And the other thing as well is it's a massive thing about animal welfare. The vets are closed, and the vet would have put her down, and I just thought, right, okay. You've got a certain amount of medical skills, and you've got a certain amount of medicine, and I've been pumping her with medicine that isn't cheap, but obviously it's done part of the trick. Yesterday she was lying on her side, now she's up, so there you go.
I didn't have trouble with the cats we had. because cords getting wrapped around kittens made their legs, killed the legs. So I had them put down. So when she had another litter, I went in and wrapped all the cords. The mother was calm, and we saved them all. But a little thing like that, you just can't leave it to nature without a lot of loss. But with the sheep, was a lot more involved, money and everything else, so it's more complicated. But my little bit of experience there, you think, wow, if I hadn't been there, she would have lost another load of kittens.
Yeah.
So it's little things that I didn't know anything about animal husbandry much or anything, but you, as you said, you live, especially with you, it's more a business, so it's important, a bigger job. As long as you say she's still suffering, you know, or what?
Yeah, she's still suffering, but I got painkillers and antibiotics, and I just basically
all the afterbirth come out, all the
it all came out. It all came out.
If that goes wrong, you know what that means.
Yeah, it all came out, and the thing is the basically the standard protocol is that you don't inject in the buttocks because that's where you've got the fleshy bit. And I worked out why you don't you don't inject in the buttocks, because if that's gonna go into if the meat's gonna go into circulation, which it isn't, right? So that's why. So I thought, right, I'm going to inject in the buttocks because that's where the pain is, and that's where you've got the flesh, and it's going to get directly into a system. So obviously, that's it's just bang in there, and I'm injecting, and I can. She needs some more antibiotics this evening, so I'll give her painkillers.
There was a way of checking that all the afterbirth is off. Somebody told me she was a midwife, and they used to measure it in a jar or bottle, a jar, I suppose, to make sure everything come out, because we lost her years ago before me and aunt through a thing called sapremia, which is where it just doesn't appear, let's say, and it poisoned her. She died.
Well,
it's so critical.
Yeah,
you
I've heard.
don't know.
Yeah, nasty.
Just don't know.
Nasty.
You did well, Carl. Well.
Thank you. Well, we'll be back in 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, mate. Yeah.
You okay, Anne?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, we'll be back. You'll be back in 15. So I have no idea what time it is now.
Yes.
It's 10:40. We'll be back at 10. 10:40. Bloody hell! It's 8:40. We'll be back at 8:45. Oh, Roger, no! I didn't want to see that. No.
You should be lucky, Carl, when a man's hot and suffering.
I think Anne does it. Oh, I've had enough. I'm having a break.
Anne's probably had enough of it. So these men. Oh. 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 Oh.
All right.
Hello? Oh. Right, let there be light.
I'm still sitting in the semi-dark, but it's nice to see the nights, because there's still a bit of sunshine about, you know.
Oh, yes. Enjoy it all, Anne, because it'll be, well, there's a couple of weeks, the summer solstice, but it goes back then. But now enjoy it all. A bit warm. The trouble is that you can't adjust to this. It comes on, then goes off again. You know,
Sorry, what comes on and goes off again?
Temperatures.
Right.
Yeah, it's 31 or 34 year old.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It'll be up and down.
Yeah. 20 odd, 3 or something, or be lower. Remember last year was one day it was 32 something. Within the week, it went down to 16.
Yes, it can be.
Think, well, how the heck can you adjust to that? That's the trouble. Anyway.
I was surprised. I thought I might not sleep last night, because sometimes you get a hot day and you can't get cool enough at night, but I was all right. Yeah. I think I didn't sleep all that well, but then I don't, but I don't think the heat affected me yesterday. Might do tonight.
Yeah. I find that you've got to wait for it to cool down for me anyway, because I...
Yes, you need to be cool down to go to bed.
2:00 in the morning, I reckon. To be comfortable. Still, we're all different, so...
We all respond differently, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my daughter, my eldest daughter, really doesn't like warm weather. She'd go on holiday to Greenland or something. But I do quite like the heat, but it can be too much. I think the greatest I ever had was when I was in Cordoba. It was about 35. I think that's the highest I've ever experienced. That was a bit much. You didn't want to move then.
Yes, remember we had a holiday in Tunisia once and touring around. Up to approaching 50. And that night we went back to a restaurant. The air conditioning had failed.
Yeah.
And it was very hot in there. It's probably 30 all day in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And the kids were complaining. I don't like it. But we were stuck, and I thought we got back to the hotel finally with some relief. But it's too much. It slows you so much. And everything is like half pace, I felt, or nothing. It's just too much. If you like the heat, well, okay, it's different.
Yeah, I sort of like the heat, but not, as I say, it can be too much. It can. I mean, look at the terrible things they're having in. Was it last year or the year before in North America?
Yeah.
I think they'd got really horrendous temperatures. And I don't know whether they're any better now, but they did have. In fact, they didn't a whole city burn. A whole, the whole was it last year or the year before? I don't know if it was Canada or no, it was on the western side of the North America. I remember it. And there was a whole town burnt down, more or less.
Burnt down?
In the heat. And did it, as I say, it's in the news a year or two ago. Yeah. And that must be horrendous when it gets that hot.
Well, yes, it's terrible. I know, well, been to Greece and places probably you have. And they got regular numbers die then through the heat, the older ones, through the heat, exhaustion and whatever. But they seem to just take it as part of the season, you know, as some people will die from that heat and everything.
Well, the thing is, with global warming, it isn't going to get better, is it, unless we change our behaviour. Yeah. I mean, even animals are moving around, aren't they? And migrating, you know, to get a cooler climate.
That's right. It changes everything. Difficult to cope, but I find it not easy, but still. But no, it's. I know from when I was a youngster, I used to work at a grocer's shop. And in this hot summer, if we went down in the basement, lovely and cool.
Yeah.
Just under the earth. And I thought, that's what we need here, is sort of have a basement and stay down there. But not so easy. But
there's not many. My daughter has my youngest daughter has a house with a basement. I'll have to tell her about that. She might, you know. I mean, it's an old sort of Victorian house, has a basement, so that would be good. But
could be good. You know, it's
there's not many people have basements, do they now? In modern buildings, I don't have them.
Yeah, that's right. But no, it's well, you can't always have a basement and all that. I know we went to hot countries. I was joking earlier on. The Egyptians sleep on the roof, they reckon. Right? Yeah.
Anything I'd worry about sleeping on the roof? What about insects? Are you worried with insects when you're sleeping on a roof?
I don't know. That's another thing. Yeah.
It's the sort of thing.
Things biting you and all this. I don't know.
In the hot weather, you do get more insects about, don't you? And
yeah. Oh yeah. Bite you and oh dear. They enjoy me if they get to me.
Yeah. Some do. I mean, do you know? Once when we were on holiday, we had my husband and I had 3 daughters. Anyway, one of them was adopted.
All right.
And we were up in Scotland with the midges about, and they lived on her. You know, this poor little. She was only 7. And we had to abandon. We were on a camping holiday. We had to abandon it because these things were just eating her a lot. They left us alone. She must have been particularly tasty for them or something. But we had to come away.
I like the scent, but no, they can be a real nuisance. You think, and the after effects with the itch and all this, and you get infections. You know, some can be quite dangerous. Horseflies and stuff. You know.
Yeah, well, yes, depending what the insect is, it can, can't it? You just
I've heard of people get in trouble with that, and you think, oh, it's not funny when it turns on you in some way and get infected or something even worse. But yeah, so there we are. But there again, we enjoy the summer because this is
we have to. The thing is, we have to sort of
cool and be a lousy June or something. I don't know.
I think the other thing is I mean, I try not to grumble when it's hot because I moan all the time in the winter, and I'd be moaning the whole year round if I was moaning at the heat as well.
I say to the next door neighbour, I said, "Oh, the moan gets it up your system."
Poor Carl, he's having a job tonight, isn't he? He's really upset about his sheep.
Yeah,
and he's been having trouble with the technology with trying to get the sharing.
Andy said something about what was it, the internet with overloading a wave band or something. So I don't know what he's running off it altogether. Then what system he's got, but I got no idea what it is. But Andrew said something, but I thought I wonder because he's out in the countryside west. May not be as efficient there. Maybe I don't know. But some areas do complain they haven't got a good service. But he does well. Half a miracle. I don't understand it, but he seems to keep going. And I thought, well, good. I thought you'd left us, Anne, one time. And...
Me, I did. I'd been having for a while. I'd had a lot of trouble sleeping, and I was finding I was falling asleep in the middle of Carl's lecture, and I felt really rude, falling asleep. Yeah. It wasn't because I wasn't interested, because I was lacking sleep, and then by the time halfway through the lecture, I might, nodding off.
Yes, yeah.
And I was very embarrassed about that. Anyway, so I thought I did say I was hoping it was temporary, that if I can get me sleeping a bit better.
Oh, yes, nothing worse than that.
So I've got back. I wouldn't say it's right better, but what I fixed now, what I said to him last week when I came back was, if I found I was falling asleep, I would just leave, just switch off and go, as long as he'd understand that, and so he said that would be all right. So I'm here. I'm okay so far tonight, and hopefully I'll be to then. But last week I had to go a bit early. But I do have really bad nights sleeping. Sometimes I can't get off to sleep. Usually I can get off to sleep. And then there's about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm wide awake. I have to go to the toilet, and then I can't get back to sleep. And then I'll be awake then for 2 or 3 hours, and then...
Do you tend to sleep in the day or drop off a lot, or?
Well, I tell you not to go to sleep in the day. That makes it, where the experts don't go to sleep in the day. The idea is you're supposed to go to bed at the same time and get up at exactly the same time, and not lie in to catch up.
Yeah.
But and the thing is, I can wake up at 7 o'clock, which was what I was aiming to do. But it doesn't make any difference to me losing this sleep in the middle, which is I'm tired.
Yeah.
And by the time I've got to the next evening, I'm had it. And sometimes I'm in bed by 8:30. Sometimes, not very often, but it can be as early as that.
I've had spells of it, and try different things. So, as you said, get a routine. And somebody suggested in a little thing I followed up, you go to bed when you're tired.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah. You're not supposed to take naps though in the day.
No.
So I try not to.
Well, that's too easy. Oh
yeah, Andy's back. Hello, Andy.
Are you okay?
Hi.
Good man. Oh well. So they let you go.
Are we in the break?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That was good timing.
Yes, we're just in the break.
5 minutes left. Is it Dan? I don't know.
Yeah, he's gone to look at his sheep. He's very upset about his sheep.
Oh, yeah.
You can understand it.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Right, I might get a quick drink then. One a second.
Right, so there it is. Nice. So there we are, we'll see. Now, I had a question about all this building. There must have been huge quarries around somewhere.
Yes.
And I thought, I wonder if they found any to see what's left there,
Yeah, he did say he'd show us a picture of a quarry, didn't he?
Well, it's
he was talking about that. The question I wanted to ask was the reusing of the bricks, the stones look really nicely cut, don't they? The Roman had
just get back in.
And of course they're a bit better than breeze blocks, so they'd be worth using again, wouldn't they?
Thank you.
When you think of the constant building that goes on, and one assumes that has gone on, from when they started building, they're going to renew things or build new ones or something.
It's a lot of.
I was interested about how much of that would go on, and that using the old stones, when they for some reason there'd been something happened to a building and they could use it all again. I mean, how much of that went on then? Because it doesn't happen so much now, because the building materials we use are now somewhat rubbish, and you know, that you wouldn't do it, would you? They're not worth it. But that stone would be good stuff.
I don't know what Hadrian's Wall. What type of stone would that be? Andy, any idea?
It's a limestone, and it's well, yeah, as you know, it's cut into the standard shaped blocks.
Yeah,
so you do find that in quite a lot of buildings all around the wall. So,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And as Anne said, they pinch the blocks then afterwards.
Oh yeah, and the carvings.
yeah.
I mean, happening in Cardiff now.
It's rare that you get the
church.
It's rare that you get the opportunity to get any good stone now. Like you said, I mean, but because most things that are not demolished, they're kind of, you know, they're just destroyed. But if you get country houses and things where they're taking things out, they get sold on and reused. So.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Saves time and money naturally.
Well, dressed stone is you know, always worth saving if you can.
Yeah,
so,
of course it is. And you only tend to think that it must have gone on because we do so much. Not only do we build, we demolish, don't we? I mean, in the way out, and one would think that would be going on then when they were building and taking things down for, I don't know, expanding something or putting something different in, which we're constantly doing. So, well, when he was saying that was surprising that they could reuse that stone, you know, the one, I would have thought that would have been a general what would have gone on, slower in pace perhaps than we did, because the buildings would have been much better and stronger. But nevertheless, it's what I would have almost expected. I wouldn't have thought it would have been.
Well, we use, don't forget, we use a lot of our concrete and stuff is ground up and reused.
Yeah,
that's right.
As hardcore and filling and aggregate for mixing again. So.
Yeah.
Oh yes, they're doing it on big schemes we got going on here with a tax office. It's a very big site. At the moment, there are huge heaps of ground up of concrete, I guess.
Yeah.
Ready to, you know.
Didn't there have people in the workhouses doing that? Breaking up stone into
breaking stones,
They've gone out, it's safe now. Yes, that was what was it? Hard labour, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Breaking up rocks.
God. Yeah.
Well, it was thought to good to keep people occupied, which I think it probably is, but maybe not doing that. But then they had them on those treadmills, didn't they? Which were doing nothing.
And the thing is, they were doing it to put my dad in the 30s when, you know, the unemployment was terrible. And he'd been starving, you know, he got no money, and he got a job, you know, with hard labour, really, carrying hods, bricks, hods. He said he was really glad he got the sack from that one. He said it was just too much for him.
Yeah,
it's been a strong.
I'm back again. You know, you were just mentioning about. I was going to say about the sleep thing. And I was going to mention, you know, you're talking about the workhouses. Basically, what happened was that some of the workhouses said, "Oh, what we'll do, we'll get people breaking up stones, right?" But lots of the local tradesmen disagreed with that because it was like free labor. So what happened is the workhouses, instead of getting people to do practical stuff, right, they got them to do things that were totally pointless, right?
Yes.
Because the economy was not built for sort of unemployment. So you were either in work or you were in the gutter, right? And these people in the gutter were not. After a while, they basically said, if you're going to do stuff in the workhouses, it can't be anything that is needed, right? So in other words, what they eventually got is people cutting wheat chaff up into bits, and then it would just be burnt outside because it was just not. So and the other thing as well is, are you totally sure about sleeping in the afternoon? I try and get asleep in the afternoon for about 10-20 minutes. every 2 or 3 days. So what you're saying is
you're probably all right, but you probably don't have insomnia. it's you're probably fine with that, I would think. But if you've got insomnia, then it's they tell you do not sleep in the day.
Mm. Yeah.
Right, fair enough. So what I was going to say, I got to tell you a comical story about my sheep, right? I've told you a disastrous story, but a comical story, right? The day after this tragedy happened with Glow and her lambs and whatever, when I got up to try and deal with her in the morning, right, and hoping that things were better than they turned out to be, I looked in the field and there was this massive ewe that we've got called Mower. Mower means big or huge in Welsh, right? So so there was a little lamb by her, right, and it was just being born, and I got very excited. I thought, oh wow. So she wasn't going to Mower at all, and I thought, right, okay, what you do, you put Mower and the baby lamb in a shed. So I put this really reluctant Mower and this lamb in the shed together, right? 10 minutes later, I went in there. The lamb was on the one side of the room, and Mower was trying to get out. And I just thought, Mower, you're not a very good mum. Why are you? And I was just thinking, the penny's not dropped. So I take this little baby now and I bottle feed it with like 250 milliliters of sheep's milk, and which is quite a lot, right? You're supposed to be doing 100 milliliters, not 250 anyway. So she's had a stomach fall now, right? Anyway, Michelle comes back about 4 hours later and she said, that sheep over there, it's got blood behind it. And I said, oh, that's because she's expecting a lamb. The baby lamb was hers. and then Mower had her lamb later on that evening.
What a confusing life.
Do you know what? This poor little lamb is a very intelligent little lamb. I call it Gannet, right? But his mum still doesn't, I've got to hold its mum to drink, for her to drink. It's like, yeah, what a confusing life. Or even confusing, I did 2 days as a pirate this week. So I went to Newquay on Sunday and Monday because obviously I needed to clear my head about Glow yesterday and whatever, because she wasn't in a good way. She's picked up today, and it's just wandering around Newquay as a pirate talking to people, and they said, "Oh, I remember seeing you last year," and I said, "I wasn't here last year." And yeah.
Seen one pirate, you've seen them all, yeah.
But there's only one pirate goes there. It's me.
Pirate.
Obviously create an impression, Carl.
Yeah, I do. Oh God. Right. Anyway, so I thought we'll probably go on till about 30:30 tonight because then I'm going to go out and I'm going to I got to get the goats in, and I've got to have something to eat. Michelle's not here, so I'll have to make the pot noodle. I'm only joking, Anne. Anne's just left. Anne, I only said pot noodle. They're really healthy things for you, pot noodles. But I got to be honest with you. I'll say one thing.
You do mention them a lot. I must say. You mention them a lot, I think, sometimes.
I don't have them every day. No, I don't. Just one in the blue moon. But there was one weird thing, right? Before the pandemic, Tesco's used to do a bag of like mini crisps, right? Yeah. And the weirdest thing was that I bought a pack of these one day, right? And I ate every single one in one sitting. Anyway, the point is, I looked at the packets of the ingredients, right? And it basically said, corn, with basically added sort of carotene, basically. And I thought, right, okay. And I thought, that's it. And actually, these were some of the most healthiest crisps you could eat. And guess what? Tesco's don't sell them anymore. Bloody typical. Right. Okay. I've got something for Andy. Got else tonight, so I'm just going to crack on. Andy, I tried to experiment with the technology tonight. It went nuts, didn't it, Rog?
Oh dear.
Right. So where are we? So I'm just going to get my images up, and hopefully everything's going to be fine. And right. Okay. I'll just get an image up now, and we'll do. There it is. Okay. What do I do first? I think I might do the gas grid thing first. It's a bit all over the shop, but that's life. We weren't going to do gas grid at all tonight, but I've just chucked it in here. So I'm just going to do this as speedily as possible. So we're going to share the screen, and hopefully it's all going to go well. It's all for the good of the country, Roger. You know that.
Cumbria and bit, yes.
It's all for right, really, and what they're doing now, yeah. Yeah. At least they have an option of what political parties they have in England. We've only got two. Right. So okay. So we should be showing an image on the screen, which should be coming up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a map.
Have you got it? Okay, good. I've got to find it myself.
Could be one of the trendy wallpapers, and
right. Okay. Something just happened. Right. Okay. If I do that, right, not show self view. I've got a technical problem. Technical fault, please. Okay. But I got to, right. Okay, we're gonna have to stop this a minute and go back again. Right. So, okay. Right. Start again. Every day. Okay. Right. Okay. View. Okay. Right. Okay. So if I do that, yeah, you should be seeing a map, but unfortunately I've lost it. Right. So, right. Are you seeing a map?
Not at the moment.
No.
Yeah, we did see one. It gone off again.
All right. Okay. You did see a map, and now it's gone off.
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. Let's try and get the map back. Right. It was going so okay until I started mucking around with the doodahs. Right. So that's there. That's there. Right. Is it showing a map now?
No.
No.
No. Just got
What's it showing on your screen?
You.
Oh. Is it
just the four of us?
It's the four of us. There's a song there. Just the four of us. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. There. Good. Hopefully. Press the button. Press it. Good. Right. Now, are you seeing a map now?
No, it's just saying it's in back saying Jimbo started screen sharing. It's got a map there. The map's there now.
Well, is another map there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is an image there?
Yeah.
Field or something. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And we did gas grid last week, and as two of the three of you weren't there.
Yeah.
Last week we're just sort of recapping. It will be good. So basically, what we did quite a long chunk of this, so we're just going to do this for five minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, this is a map from 1928, right? And what you've got this all these sites here. Now, the circular ones with crosses in are known as signal towers, right? We've identified at least 20 of them now since 1928. Now, over here, where the cursor is, there's something known as the Cleven Dyke, right? Now, that's not shown on here as a frontier at all. Now, this is 1928. However, in 1978, what it does show is it shows the Cleven Dyke. So now, after the 1928 map, right, they've decided that this is definitely a Roman frontier, right? And this is placed on maps of Roman era Britain. So what you've got the Gasgridge, which is in operation AD by probably about AD a little bit earlier. This is probably in use, or bit of it at the same time as Chilean Roman fort is happening. So, or thereabouts. There's a lot of confusion over what's going on. There's something going on in Scotland at the same time there's stuff going on in the south. Anyway, the point is, by at least AD 80, this is fully operational. And interesting enough, you've got the site of Ardok, but you've also got Clevedon Dyke. Now, what we do know is all of these things here are marching camps. These head towards Aberdeen, right? Now, also very interesting, on this map, you can clearly see that there's forts, including Inch-Tuthill, north of this Roman frontier that's Gasgridge. So this constantly tells us that there's something not quite right with these ideas of Roman frontiers. They're not frontiers in the modern sense. They're not defensive frontiers. You would not defend something and then have people living north of that. Do you know what I mean? So this is the whole point. Now, thinking about the Clevedon Dyke, or the Clevedon Dyke, the Cleven, if we go to here, which is the next image, this is the Cleven Dyke, right? Now, it's basically, the River Tay is east of here. North of here is the Roman fort of Inch-Tuthill, and then it meets the River Tay again on the south side, right? We know of it. They've surveyed about 2.5 miles of this, 3 miles, but that's all we've got. And they thought, right, okay, this is where the Romans stopped for a while. But what happened is that it then turned out to be a cursus monument, right? You can just see a trace of a ditch there, and there's another ditch on the other side, but a bank leading through it, right? So before they could do proper aerial photography, and even in the 1980s, archaeologists were saying it's definitely a Roman frontier, but they've excavated it, and there's Andy knows there's nothing in a cursus monument, right? There's nothing. We don't know what the hell these things are. So this is atypical cursus monument, in the sense that some cursus monuments have got a ditch and a bank and then a space and a bank and a ditch. Others have got a ditch and a bank in the middle, like this one, and a ditch on the other side. So we eventually found out that the Cleven Dyke, the Romans may have actually repurposed it. They may have put a palisadal on the top of it. But unfortunately, whatever height this was, right, the ditches are filled in. They've excavated this, and the clue was in the early 1900s, in the 1930s, right? The archaeologist Richmond in the 1930s, and another archaeologist in the early 1900s, right? I just had a name in it just went in there, and it went Abercrombie, right? Abercrombie excavation in the 1900s, 1902, and this Richmond bloke in the 1930s, 1939 to be precise. And when they excavated it, there was no artifacts. They put a trench through it. There were no artifacts. And they both said, oh, it's definitely got to be Roman. But one of them said, Richmond said, but it might not be. But it's likely to be Roman. So they just left it there, right? And then it went on maps then, and it said, obviously, this is definitely a Roman frontier. It turned out not to be, right? There it is, Cleven Dyke. So you can just see over on the right there by Nether over there. That's basically the Tay. And then it probably met it sort of south again. But there it is, the Cleven Dyke. So what you can clearly see is this is where the ditch is, bank, and it would have been another ditch as well. And this is where it's been ploughed out in the field. But interesting enough, this is quite odd because the word dike in Scotland just means a bank, right? In the south, a dike means a ditch, right? So by in other words, you've got by calling it Cleveland Dyke, it's both got a ditch and a bank, so it helps the English and the Scots at the same time. I thought I'd put that little joke in there. So I just want to chuck that in there and to sort of say that over by the Vennacones, we've got this sort of Gascridge, and I do believe we might have one or two other images. Because of the way this is set now, we're just going to quickly, we've done this, we're just going to quickly go through all these images again, because I don't want to go off the screen because it's working fine. And obviously we know that. And we know that I know Andy missed some of this, but this is Igaia. We mentioned the Roman fort in Cymru, Wales, Andy, called Igaia, and it's a typical Roman fort. This was used until quite late as well. And there's a gateway. This was a blocked up gateway because just a few yards away, it just goes over like a precipice. Similarities to do with Hadrian's Wall, and having 4 gateways as well. And I mentioned about the fact that the word camp, Gaia, Kaya, fort is atypical for the Ordnance Survey from the late 1870s, 1880s, when they're surveying these things to call everything by fort. So everybody thinks they're all Roman. And we just did that, back to the wall. And I want to then do this. But before we do this, right, I want to see if I got any other images. And I didn't edit these, so they're taking these directly offline. Just going to double check. This is really intriguing. I'm just going to double check to see I've got nothing else to do. Oh, right. Yeah, this is the Cleveland Dyke again. Oh, and this one for Roger. Right. It's all happening. So this is the Gascridge, as you can clearly see. And I know that Anne missed the stuff that I was talking about in regards to the Romans and the idea of a frontier or a division. So what the Romans did, and they built a road. So everybody north of the road is not in Roman territory. Everybody south of the road is in Roman territory. The road would inevitably have a ditch, or would be raised, or going through a cutting. So it would demarcate 2 zones. But this is what this is. The difference is it's got these towers along it. And they've got 20 of them, and they've got forts. Ardok is the big one. Half of Ardok's been excavated, basically. And so what we've got here, and remember, there's other Roman stuff above this as well. So, and going all the way to Bertha, we actually do think that this actually goes further. So, you know, where you've got this, you've got the River Tay there. So further up off the screen is that other frontier, right? So, you know, that's all good stuff. And I do believe, we're going to do this in a minute, and then we're going to go to the last item. I just want to show you this as well. So what this actually does show is Stracathro, which is probably the biggest of the most northeasterly forts. But then again, what is further north? And it clearly shows all of these things. Is this representing another frontier? Inch Tuthill, Fendock, Dallingros, Bowcastle, Mailing. It does look like that, doesn't it? That there may, and they're all on the base, or the asht. Oh, that's a Welsh word. On the base of the hillside. So that's sort of upland areas, and this and the south. So that might be another frontier, but really didn't discuss that last week because they didn't really get anywhere. The one word I did discuss was Flavian, right? So the first Flavian emperor is Vespasian. Then you've got Titus, Domitian, and those two were brothers, and that was the Flavian dynasty. And then the next dynasty, so you've got the Flavians. So you know that takes us up to, I think, AD 96. I'm not sure, maybe a bit before that. But what we've got then is we go into the period of Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, the great Roman emperors like Marcus Aurelius, and then you go after that into the late 90s, 190s, and you've got the Severan period. So whenever it says Flavian, that's what we're talking about. Vespasian, who had been a general campaigning in Britain when he was emperor. So we're talking about the 70s and the 80s. That's when the Flavian period, and when you've got the Severan period, you go into the 200s. So I thought I'd add that. So that's one little weird quiz fact. And then what we've got this. I know I've done this as an article before, but maybe not with you guys. But we will do this again. Roger was insistent, and it ballsed up the lecture a little bit earlier on, because I tried to use another bit of technology, Andy. It didn't work. And the reason why it didn't work, Andy, is because Roger needed to unmute me, and it didn't work. So they were stuck there for a couple of minutes with me talking, and yeah. But anyway, Roger, this is for you. So Hadrian's Wall, Roman graffiti, 1,800-year-old markings recorded.
where the quarry was done.
Yeah, so that is actually basically when they originally recorded this. These were clear. These were really clear. But unfortunately, Andy, this is sandstone. I'm sure it is. This is sandstone. But Andy's right about the limestone as well. But in
like
regards
limestone.
to this,
right.
In regards to this, yeah, you can tell, you can see the grain on that. But Andy is right, limestone and sandstone. Right, but that is sandstone. They're both sedimentary, and we're both right, Andy. So don't worry. This is a sandstone quarry for the stone anyway. But basically, what we've got here is that we've got the experts recording this, and they're trying to record them before it all disappears, and they're finding more and more quarries with this information on it. South of Brampton, which is near Bird Oswald. I was telling them, Andy, that I was telling David earlier on. I was telling them that we were going to go to Brampton, but it was raining so much that we didn't go. But I just would mention that, not me again. I just thought I'd mention that on the graffiti, it's not just graffiti; it's carvings, and when they originally recorded. So one of the archaeologists at the site says it may depict an unfortunate accident. They found a pristine relief of a man's head and shoulder, the name Gaius, and an arrow pointing downwards. Is this a story about a fellow soldier falling off the quarry cliff? Or is it the ancient equivalent of a presentation slide showing workers how to get the stones to Hadrian's Wall? They've also found a carving of a phallus, which was a good luck symbol in Roman times. So basically, they are suspended 9 meters, sort of recording this and taking photographs. They're taking will mean that the carvings can be seen by members of the public who are unable to visit this inaccessible, most northeasterly part of Cumbria. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go on to the last bit this evening, which is really interesting. And actually, it ties us in quite nicely with Colchester for next week. So, because the next thing is Colchester. And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do an overall stone look at the different types of stone that we actually used. It's not just sandstone and limestone. I think they may have used some other stuff as well. So, what I will look into that. The guy, right, Bill, on a Wednesday. Roger knows Bill, great friend. When they did, oh God, I've lost the thought. Oh yeah, Bill estimated how much stone was used in the construction of Hadrian's Wall. And he's got it quite precise, and he'll tell you how many stone, not just the weight of stones, the number of stones. I don't know what the figure is, but it's in the tens of millions. I think he came up with like 20 million or something individual blocks. Can't remember. And remember, when you're talking about the amount of blocks used at Hadrian's Wall, right? Those are the outside facing stones, not the stuff in the middle. So there we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do this. And I come across this the other day, so I thought, I got to use this one. I got to use it. I got to use it. And the reason why I got to use it, it's dated the 12th of May, 2026, in the year of Lloyd George. Remarkable grave discovery reveals burial secrets of late Roman Colchester. Right. I love this one, and so I just snipped these off, as you can see, shamelessly. But there's one really interesting thing with the sort of beading on the outside and how that sort of presents itself. So it's a spectacular example of a late Roman burial, and is now on display in Colchester, and it's the grave of a wealthy young woman associated with the county hospital site of Exeter in Colchester. And the one thing that I would clearly is that we're getting lots more of these now, and we mentioned about the Southwark examples from 2003. We're getting these as well. Now, the highly decorated lead coffin and remains of the young woman will be exhibited in the Roman Cursus Visitor Centre in Colchester, and it's, look at the beauty of detail there. Yeah. And there's you can really tell that this is Roman, right? Because of the discoloration of the lead, and also the Romans are using coffins in the later part of the Roman world in Britain, but because that they before that they're using cremation urns. People are cremated, but as we're getting into period of Christianity, people are laid in lead coffins and then in stone sarcophagi, right? Usually. Right, but look at that. That looks absolutely unbelievable. I tell you what, that is just eat your heart out. It really is, literally. So Essex County Council said specific analysis of the grave site has revealed a collection of items which give a rare insight into the funerary rituals of the time. So not only did they find the body and the lead coffin, they actually found some items as well. So the woman, who's believed to have been in her 20s and 30s, was buried with a collection of objects including jet hairpins, a group of glass flasks that we will see, and other grave goods which point to a carefully staged burial. So obviously lots of these are still being looked at and conserved and being analysed still, but obviously put on display. So look at these bottles. Don't they look the bit, man? They really, really do. So these are the glass flasks. So analysis have identified that the 20 or 30-year-old woman was buried with frankincense and gypsum. Yeah, very, very white gypsum. So it's buried with gypsum and frankincense. So it also revealed exotic resins in one of the glass vessels. Yes, it does. Suggest the use of imported substances in the treatment of the body after death to give it a sense of life. So, but when you look at that, when you look at some of these designs, that one there, you could think that that's like Victorian. And maybe looking, yeah, easy Victorian, but these are definitely Roman. That gives it away as Roman, really, the sort of really big sort of flange stop. But these two, you could make an easy mistake there. And also the patina, the discoloration it's got on the surface. There's less patina with the Roman stuff. So basically what it is, this is being cleaned on the outside. What it is, you can see that there's a hue on the outside. That's known as a patina. Now, because of the makeup of substances in the glass, right? And the words are in my head. I just can't verbalize them at this minute. But what rate? Oh, not radon. No, it's gone. But the substances in the glass, the silica, and yeah, that other thing. And the one thing that you do find is that the Roman stuff is fired at a bit higher temperature, and there's less sort of derivatives in it, and therefore the patina means that the glass itself is still there, except there's been a bit of degrading on the surface, but not too much. If this was Tudor, there'd be nothing left, because it just sort of degrades. It goes back to its natural substance. But this Roman stuff is really, really good quality. Let's see if there's any more. There might be one more image. Oh, pins. Love it. So preliminary scientific work also suggests that the woman may have grown up locally, offering a rare and personal connection to the people of Roman Colchester during the late Roman period. The burial was excavated by Colchester Archaeological Trust at the old Essex County Hospital site. I wonder if we've got another image. We'll come back to this in a moment. Have we got another one? Yeah, look at that there. Hang on to see if we've got another one. My screenshotting. Look at that there, So basically saying we are delighted that this remarkable discovery made during archaeological work at the former Essex County Hospital site will now be shared with the public. It is wonderful to see an important part of the Colchester's past being preserved, studied, and presented in this way. So, this person in many ways embodies and is an emboldened example of somebody who born locally, but they were as Roman as Rome. They become Rome. Look at that there. You're just talking, wow. Scallop shells are really interesting because using scallop shells is a motif that is being used on these coffins roughly from about the 350s into the 400s. They found some of these in Barry in the Second World War. There's a story, this is in my book, The Romans in South Wales. They found examples of these in Barry, and they didn't tell. They basically scrapped them, and the American soldiers got scrap value for these lead coffins with scallops on them. And yeah, nothing like this has been found in South Wales since. But this is Colchester, actually. And the pins, finally the pins. I know you were like dressmakers' pins. So these hairpins discovered in the coffin. So they didn't actually work out that it was a woman because of the hairpins. It could have been a bloke, but obviously they tested it. It was a woman, but she happened to have hairpins. These are some of the most exciting finds from a Roman burial that they've found in recent years in Colchester. So the decorated coffin is a beautiful object. And obviously we're looking at these beautiful pins, these beautiful bronze pins. And what type of bronze that is, I don't know. But if again, back to, so it's got the tagline, and then we'll call it a day. Just get to that. Right, there we go. Sorted. There it is. So we'll just finish on this image. And so again, the decorated coffin is a beautiful object in its own right, but it is the combination of the coffin, the body, the grave goods, and the scientific evidence that makes this burial so compelling. Together, they allow us to glimpse not just a person, but the care, ritual, and belief that surrounded a burial in late Roman Colchester, a person of the people. So it's now on display in the Roman Cursus Visitor Centre on the 16th, and will run for 1 year. And just finally, another consultant archaeologist for Terra Tech Consulting Limited, Robert Marsfield, said, over decades of working with Colchester Archaeological Trust on excavations on the Roman burial grounds around the Roman town, this is certainly the most spectacular I have seen in terms of signifying the trappings of wealth and symbolism in death of a fully Romanized citizen. This person was as Roman as somebody in Rome, but were born in Britain. And that is the point of doing our Roman stuff at this minute. So the Roman era is definitely here. So let's just do that. let's go back to what didn't know I was going to be going this late, but I've still got light, so I can still get the goats in. So let's just. It's not light in here though. It's been bloody hot. It's been bloody hot. Right. Anyway, Rog, anything you want to say, love?
No, I'm off now. Thanks.
All right, Rog.
No,
night, Rogie, baby. See you next week.
Night.
Yeah.
Bye.
Night. What about you, Anne?
No, just good night. I'm falling asleep.
Oh well, we've got you to the end, so we're going to
manage to the end. I almost went to bed 3 minutes ago. I thought we're nearly at the end, so I'm going to bed now.
Wait for Andy a minute. Anne, just a minute. Anything you want to say, Andy?
Yeah, I was actually the Gaston Ridge there. I don't know whether you noticed, but one of the place names about 2/3 of the way along was called Midgate, which would suggest that it was longer.
And actually, I didn't say that, but I actually do believe that if you look at the maps, it does indicate the Gascoigne is much longer.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. And what is it? And it's not a defensive frontier. And we're just thinking, you can't. A defensive frontier is not a road. But if you think about these people and their mindsets, and we think about cursuses in the Neolithic context, you stayed out of those things. Maybe the road told people to stay away. Maybe that, and that was in people's consciousness.
How did they manage to date it in the end? Modern the cursus.
They actually did sample working. They cross-sectioned it, and it did date from not the end of the Neolithic period, but from as far back plus as 6,000 years ago.
Do you know what they got the date from?
I think it was sediment. It was sedimentary. It was sedimentary. Yeah. We did do that last week. Yeah, it was sedimentary. Obviously, underneath all the bank and stuff, it was sedimentary. So yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay then. Well, I'm glad you joined us, Andy, for the last bit,
I'm glad to be back.
And wonderful, Anne. Thank you very much. And we will no doubt see the both of you next week. And if we might have a full class next week. We're a few people away. Will, Margaret gave apologies. Drina, there's obviously Judith. So yeah, happy days.
Jolly good.
Okay then, I'm going to say good night. Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you very much, Anne. And I will see you next week.
Bye, Anne.
Yeah. Bye then.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good
night.
Night. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Night.
Go off.
Oh, don't have problems with your computer now.
It won't go off.
Got it.
Yeah, that's happened with it.
There's a little cross in the bottom right-hand corner. Or mind you, it might be another type of. Or there might be a red button in the top right-hand corner, bottom left, bottom right.
No, the top right-hand isn't doing anything. There's usually something there. I can't push.
Is there a cross? Got it.
Is it red?
It's red. Yeah. Press the
leave
red
the meeting. I've got it. Thank you.
Night. I don't know if anyone watched online, but I'm gonna have a coffee after this. Strange enough, it's boiling hot, but I'm gonna have a coffee. I haven't followed this online, so let's have a little look online. And we saw Roger's man boobs. And we're going to go there. See if anyone online. So let's have a little look online. And nobody online. So unfortunately, nobody online. So bit of a shame. Nothing in the chat box. No, if anyone watching earlier on may have saw that. Nothing in the chat box. And diolch yn fawr I chi, nos da. Gwelwch chi eto, anyone watching online, don't forget to like and subscribe. I can look in the chat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're looking in the chat. There's nothing in the chat there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dun, 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 dun. Nos da chi, gwelwch chi eto. No.